Our next speaker is Dmitry. Hello, Dmitry, welcome. Um, nice to see you there. Don't worry, normal stuff. He's a
Hello.
mathematician. Hello. He's a mathematician and he is a passionate, I really like this, Ruby backend engineer at Amplifier. And today he is here to talk to us about product metrics. I told Dmitry in the backstage that I'm super eager to hear his talk because, as a product engineer and a lead of a product engineering team, um, one of the things that I've noticed is that sometimes we have a hard time as engineers both to understand and to communicate the value of what we do for our users and our businesses. So I think it's a conversation that it's really important to have, and tools that can serve in our career for years to come. And both Luca and Alberto that were with me screening the talk submissions, the three of us, we have to have this talk because it's really, really important. I don't know how you manage with three kids also to contribute to open source. At the end of the day, I am dead with my daily job and a cat. So I admire you for that.
I don't know how do I manage, but I have to manage.
But that's great because we need also people like you and more contributions to open source. So thank you for all your work.
Thank
Um,
you for having me here.
I'll leave you the stage to you. See you later.
Okay, thanks. My name is Dmitry, and I am the backend engineer of a product team. During the work, my team fell in love with modern product development. I will use the term product approach to describe the way I feel about product development. This term is a bit unusual for IT, but as soon as you get what it is about, you will find yourself doing the same things. My talk today is a reassembled experience of using the product approach. It will be a mix of concepts. We will fit the idea of product approach to backend development. We will invent product metrics to do things more systematically and meaningfully. I will share a couple of things that seem amazing to me. So I hope you will take some ideas into your daily actions to get more meaningful and measurable results. I welcome you to get a deep dive into it with me.
The product approach is a work method to solve problems in an optimal way without any unnecessary actions. It starts with an idea, a key action. Whatever you are doing, a website, an online school, or assembling a car, you first choose one key task. You choose the pain you are going to relieve your clients. You are exposing the idea to critical thinking. Perhaps now this couldn't be what people want. Therefore, first you check that people have the same problem that you are going to solve. And if it is, the next stage is MVP. Before you create a huge system, you make a simple and cheap prototype to test the idea. And then the fun begins. The process becomes continuous. Any project has many stages. Therefore, you improve your product gradually, getting it up to the level you like. But most importantly, no matter how long this process is, you already have a working solution from the first stage. Measurement is a must to determine and quantify a result. You have to make a data-driven decision based on facts, but not emotions. You form a set of parameters to evaluate the effectiveness of your model. They are called product metrics. Imagine you have a product that solves user needs, but most of visitors do not understand its value. You decide to change your landing page to deliver product value to the user better. You are going to quantify the conversion from a visitor into a trial user. It is an impartial way to evaluate the result when a new design comes out. A product change and subsequent result analysis are called an experiment. You will probably do more than one redesign experiment until you get the improvement you like. Your teammates could have their own background, their own point of view, and their own understanding of a product. Some of them wouldn't like a new design, but numbers are the only true way to evaluate. It is impersonal, impartial, and doesn't depend on emotion or subjective perception.
The product approach is so simple and so common that you do not see it became the native to many professionals. Imagine a patient complains about his feeling bad to a doctor. Human health is the product of medicine, and that is why any doctor first takes the metrics, measures the temperature, and do tests. Only then he diagnoses and starts treatment, and then will keep monitoring metrics on finding out if treatment works or not. This way of doing is a pure product approach. Measure first, then do a change, and finally analyze the result.
What if we transfer the ideas of product approach to day-to-day backend development? Let's figure out the performance of any certain feature, invent a hypothesis to improve, and measure the positive effects then. Imagine you have a product that automates social media content workflow. One window makes your content to appear into dozens of social networks at once. Automation helps a client do more in less time, keeps his focus on a higher level task. The product takes care of content delivery mechanics. As a backend engineer, you are close to the pain of modern web development. It is any third-party service integration. External integrations are unpredictable. When the core of your system depends on other services, you cannot ensure yours reliability. Your customers still pay the money and use the product. It's the reason you think everything works fine. But how can you truly assess whether your Facebook integration works good or bad? You will display an indicator, a numerical feature to show the percentage of successful API requests. To get started quickly, you prefer the SaaS analytics service like Amplitude. We'll track the success of failure events there. The reason I assume the amplitude of many others isn't random. Amplitude is easy to quick start without doing any payment before. There is an integration Ruby gem for the Amplitude. It has a simple API. You need to form an event with any metadata you want. Metadata is very helpful if you want to get a chart in the context of any additional parameters. In this case, it would also be nice to log the events of overall external API request, but differ it in a social network like Facebook or LinkedIn. After you have all metadata ready, pass it to the Amplitude over the HTTP. Let's plug in the integration Ruby gem and begin to log two events, successful or failure, as shown on the slides. At this stage, you've got the metric called success rate. It is the quantitative indicator that truly shows the consistency of the feature. For now, you can numerically estimate how successful the integration is. You also keep watching the metrics to analyze a result of making any product change. This indicator for sure tells how the basic feature of your product performs for any moment. This number is equally understandable to a product manager, to developer, or to any other team member. And this is the only source of truth. What is great about the Amplitude or other service? It is easy to set up. API is very simple and intuitive. You don't need to set up your own infrastructure for product analytics. And finally, it has the great visualization features. Once you've got how evaluate product characteristic in terms of comparable numbers, you come to the inside of the product framework. Product framework is a way of continuous project improvement with iterative changes reinforced with the subsequent outcome analysis. And it is the method of doing improvement continuously and systematically. As you've got clearly what is going on under the hood, you can now experiment, implement an improvement like a new tricky operation retry algorithm, and then see how it will affect the metric. Wherever you work, you make a product, and if you, like me, are a backend developer, then your product is not just a great source code. Your product is a system or an environment where you can quantify your product effectiveness, make decisions, and evaluate their results. This point brings one important detail into your work. It allows you to see and appreciate the value of your contribution to the project. The product framework is based on rationality of the data-driven decision-making. You may have imperfect source code or a huge technical depth, but if your product solves the user needs and metrics confirm it, this is a success. Moreover, in this system, you have the opportunity to improve your product through continuous experimentation endlessly. This framework is a mature developer's product, meaningful and conscious development, where decisions are made on a data-driven basis. Let's look closer to another case in your project. You've done with the main operation performance, and now you are ready to effort on better error handling. Why might it be so important? The reasons for the external API call failures differ. Some of them could be handled, but some could not. The more carefully you handle errors and get users notified, the more positive user experience you provide. For example, you are unable to fix external service unavailability. Otherwise, you could easily fix the 400 bad request response by changing the past parameters. So what's the point here? If an error occurs, you get an exception in Ruby code and classify the error based on the type of the exception and persist error code into the database. Unclassified errors will have an unknown error code. Let's visualize the data from the database. It is easy to do with another tool called Redash. Redash allows you to connect any data source, write and visualize the response. This quick video shows how easy to save a query and render the visualization into the Redash. You got a chart of the percentage distribution of errors and types for every day for the last months. Your hypothesis is to improve error handling, and the key metrics for this is the percentage of unknown unprocessed errors. It shows that some errors occur, but the error handling logic is unable to recognize the reason. And as more users meet the unknown failures, as worse the user experience is. So you investigate the issue and fix it by changing the source code. Then roll it out and analyze the result. What makes the Redash tool useful? It is a standalone web service which you can easily deploy to infrastructure. It's great to visualize data from any database and share it with your teammates with zero-cost infrastructure complication. This case gets us friendly with other analysis tools, but the upper-level way of work remains the same. You systematically and continuously keep improving stuff to the product framework idea. There is one awesome side effect in managing metrics this way. You can keep watching the quality of the product. The number of handled errors will help you continue to monitor this aspect in the future. When you update the API version or update the version of the integration Rubyday, the error types may change, the source code may become outdated, and the quality of error handling may come down. You can recall the unknown errors number in the future to ensure everything is fine or not. You are going to automate instead of keeping track of it manually. It is easy to do with the alerts feature of the Redash tool. You form a special query that returns the metric value for the last 24 hours and set up alert rules when the limit is exceeded. The query will be periodically executed, and if the rule is triggered, you will receive a notification to the Slack or wherever you set up. This case meets us with the alternative method of calculating metrics, and we fit the idea of alerting to the product metrics to keep on wave and ensure the quality. But despite the tool you used and the extra process you added, the overall idea remains the same. Measure first, then do a change, and finally analyze the result, and possibly monitor. Well, you have figured out a key product feature. Everything is pretty clear there, and you know how well it works. Let's take up another task. In addition to posting, your product collects social network analytics, like the number of followers in your social networks. Clients periodically report the lack of the data, and you are going to research what is wrong. Where do you think to start? Yep, you are right. You will quantify the threat. This time the tool will be unexpected. You have shown the similarities between product metrics and technical ones, and you already have all infrastructure for monitoring set up, including Prometheus for storing the metrics, Grafana for visualization, and Ops Genie service to send alerts to the duty engineer. You decide to lock metrics into your instance of Prometheus to get all the benefits for free. You know the extendable suite for collecting and exporting Ruby application metrics called Yabida. Let's take a closer look at how it works. Yabida framework provides a common DSL to declare metrics and manage it from the application. There are some kinds of metrics, but for now we are only interested in the abstraction called counter. Counter is a specific metric that tracks the number of events occurred, like number of web requests, network packets, or number of sidekick jobs. Yabida framework also has a tool to export metrics for Prometheus exporter format. You can find out more in the documentation. The common idea is that you need to expose a specific endpoint for metrics where they are rendered as text. Prometheus exporter periodically hits the endpoint, reads and stores all the values. You will define metrics with provided DSL in this way, as shown on the slides. Instead of sending events like using the Amplitude, we will increment the success and error counter. Then go to Grafana and visualize. Here we use the specific increase function of Prometheus. It calculates the increase in the time series. Breaks in monotonicity are automatically. This is just for counter resets due to application restarts. The increase is extrapolated to cover the full time range as specified in the range vector selector, so that it's possible to get a non-integer result even if a counter increases only by integer increments. So we will calculate the increase of counter in context of success and failure of an operation, and then calculate the error rate. In addition to one success rate value, you've got a whole dashboard with several charts. This dashboard describes the state of the feature in detail. And what's next? So maybe you would like to set up alerting when something goes wrong. In case of trigger, the engineer on duty will receive a notification via Slack, SMS, or mobile phone, or wherever you set up. Once again, the tool is new and the framework is still the same. Measure first, then do a change, and finally analyze a result, and maybe monitor and send alerts.
Regardless of the tool, the idea of product approach remains the same. It is common and can be used everywhere. According to this method, you can globally participate in product development or use the product framework in your area of responsibility, like backend development. It doesn't matter if you count user conversion or optimize SQL query response time. It would be best if you have a standard way to improve the solution consistently and get a sense of your work result. It is believed that the purpose of any conference talk is the action of a listener. I am sure most of us have found yourself and your daily tasks in those stories. And I will be glad if you will fit the idea of measurability and product approach to your practice. Next time, please set up metrics, make a change and analyze the result. And you will find out how easy it is and how effectively it works.
By the way, the made-up project we have been working on during my talk is not a fiction. It is the one I work on. It is called Amplify. I also will be happy to answer your question for now or later using the contacts from the slides. So that's it. Thank you for your attention.
And welcome back. Thank you, Dmitry.
Again,
This is a great set of tools.
it's great to be a speaker and have another man giving you a talk.
Yes. Yeah, you don't need to sweat about, live incidents and stuff like that. That helps. It's a great selection of tools. Actually, we are using Amplitude in Freeletics to do data analysis of our users' behavior and to measure really like, is this feature we are releasing out there really used as it has the impact that we would like to have? So this is from a product angle.
Usually it is used that Amplitude is mostly for product metric, but
Exactly.
you as a backend developer could log there anything you want. You can log how your product performs inside other technical stuff, simple technical stuff. And this is the point.
I was wondering because usually when people thinks about monitoring and performance and observing these kind of metrics from a developer perspective, the first name that jumps to mind is stuff like New Relic, but that's like humongous, and as you can imagine, it also costs. Therefore,
yes, but
the
it's great.
alternatives.
But numeric talks you how your project perform technically, how fast is your response, backend response, and this the same stuff. And the main point of my talk is that you can go a little bit upper to the next level and get the idea. So you have to perform not the how the simple backend operation perform atomically. You can perform the overall operation, how well it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a good point. I mean, you can go from the very small to a higher level to really understand how your product is performing, whatever
Not to
the
the highest,
product
but
is.
to the higher. Yes.
Higher. Let's put it this way. Do you have any other resources that people can look into to learn more about how to and which metrics to look at?
One of the best resources about product metric is the documentation of Amplitude or maybe any other service. I like Amplitude because it is simple and easy, but there are a bunch of the same services you can find by 5 minutes of Googling. But the documentation of Amplitude is really great, really easy to get friendly with this question. And my recommendation of if you feel you want to get deep in it, just give it a try. just go to product owner or other person who works with the product metric more and the more deeper, and so work with him.
You cut just for a second. Thank you. Yes, that makes perfect sense. I mean, in the end, the product person is the one that knows the most how to look at this at products from this angle. So you can only learn by asking. Thank you.
By asking and by doing, yes.
Thank you so very much. I haven't seen any questions in the chat, therefore, I would say that we can progress towards our lunch break. Um, if you have any questions for any of our speakers, remember to just approach them in the chat. We have the lobby, we have the stage. You can also message them directly if you feel like. Um, and in the meantime, thank you, Dmitry. See you later.
Thank you very much for having me. If anybody will have any question, please let me know. I will do my best to answer. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Grazie.